That was quite a picture. Quite a picture.
The actual, what's that thing called? One of those computer silicon things. When a laptop gets in here. So she's going to make her way up to this chair. Hopefully the laptop will be here in a minute. So thank you for your questions. And what's that?
I said, when they get stiff for sitting down there.
So, you know, just kind of
What do we want to know?
bring the chair.
There's Bill.
Hey, yeah. Well, I need to be close to the plug for my laptop. Okay. So, you know, shout out a question, and then I'll in turn shout out a question. Okay, that's a good one. What they wanted to know was, what was it like working with Titania?
What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
What happened? I wish I found out. Titania was really a character. She was an unusual performer. She had been, her whole family was a circus. She was with the circus, and she loved to perform. She loved to dance. We all liked Titania. Anybody else want to know about Titania?
I'll tell you a quick story about her. I got to tour one summer as a carny. She actually grew up, and my mom would tell you this story, and I'm going to listen to this. We were all, my mom, my dad, and myself, with this picture at a drive-in theater, and the way we get the people in is we'd say the stars are going to be in the audience. You remember this? We were standing on top of the concession stand, myself, my dad, and I believe Titania, when someone from the audience shouted out a bad remark to Titania. This is real, not Titania in the movie, but her name was Georgette. Her mother was there helping us. She was a stripper from the old days. So someone shouted out a rude remark to the mother. Titania literally jumped off the top of the concession stand right onto the person, and a fight like you saw actually ensued. Do you remember that?
Really a character. Boy, she was really strong. She could really give it to you. She was really a girl, that Titania. In fact, all the girls, the one who did the, what was her name? The one who did the strip.
Oh, Lynn Fontaine.
Oh, yeah, Lynn Fontaine. She was a beautiful girl. She was really beautiful. And I don't know, all of these girls have disappeared for some particular reason.
Okay, I have a little secret. Since it's 30 years down the line and the guy I'm going to tell you about is not here tonight, I'll go ahead and tell you what's he going to do. So, my friend Hathaway, the detective, had a thing for Lynn Fontaine, the stripper, and of course he was married at the time. So Lynn left town and she was in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and Ed and my dad and the actors had to go down to film the cutaway shots in New Orleans. Well, Ed, telling no one, but by the way, Ed is a commercial pilot, used to work for the airlines, still is a head flight instructor out in Sedona, Arizona, taught me to fly, great individual. But he got in the airplane. Tom, I guess we're doing okay, so thank you anyway, but I appreciate the effort. He got in the plane, and without telling my dad what's happening, my dad said, well, why aren't we going to New Orleans? He said, well, I have a little stop to make in Hot Springs, Arkansas first. That's where Lynn Fontaine was working, and he would have got away with it, but he paid for the gas with a credit card, and of course Jan, his wife, got the bills.
Well, I would say that some of those girls that were strippers, they were really exotic. We originally called this picture the exotic ones, but we found out because of exploitation that Munster and the stripper would be more seductive to being a production and being in the theaters. In order to make money in the motion picture theaters, you have to have something different. And boy, the Munster and the stripper was different.
And it's still different.
Yeah, it's still different.
friend of mine for 30 years. In the movie, he plays a small part, but yet it dates a point in time and a friend for many years. I want to say thank you to Bill. I'm glad you're here tonight. If y'all didn't recognize him, he's the guy that was stogie, and he keeps smoking it, and he's part of the atmosphere. But Bill, good to be here. So listen, we're talking gabbing, but do you have any questions? Okay, a question.
Did the woman who played the singer...
Wait just a second. Wait just a second. Go ahead.
Did the woman who played the singer actually sing her own songs? And she looked like the woman who played the lead in Shanty Tramp. Is that the same person?
So the guy says you did a really good job, Mom, and he appreciates the fact that you were here.
Job of what?
No. Actually, I'll tell you the quick backstory on that. What they're asking is, did the girl, Donna Ray, was she really the singer? And the story, do you remember?
No.
Okay, the story was, no, she wasn't the real singer. My dad got a black girl to sing it. And then she did a very good job. Oh, an early music video. Of course, not as good as my part, but besides that, it was an early music video. She did an excellent job of lip syncing, and she got the black girl to kind of get behind her, show her how to do the moves. As far as Shanty Tramp, I don't know the answer to that. Well, no, I shouldn't tell him. I should have known. She says no. Next question. Okay, in the back. Well, in the very back there.
Where in the world did you find the harmonica player?
Oh, okay. Well, no, that's a good one, and I recounted that story during the event. Mother, tell them who Jimmy and Mildred Mulcahy are.
What?
The harmonica players, Jim and Mildred Mulcahy. Tell them the history.
Well, we've known Jimmy and Mildred Mulcahy for years and years. They're great performers. I don't know what has happened to them now because...
Well, tell them how you met them, what you did with them in vaudeville.
Well, we worked on the show together in vaudeville, and we told them we were going to do this picture, and they said, well, we'd like to make a picture, because they had never made a motion picture before. So we brought them to the coast, and we put them into this picture, and they really do some great harmonica work. Anybody in all of vaudeville that could imitate the harmonica that they do. They're really outstanding.
When does that water
You know, very few people know how to play a harmonica.
Now let me interject one thought. Have a sip of water, because I know. Have a sip of water. Your voice is a little scratchy. Okay.
Drink the water.
As she's saying that, I'll tell you one extra little thing. Indeed, Jimmy and Mildred Mulcahy were with them in vaudeville. Flash forward 25, 30 years, they became famous in a small circle of harmonica enthusiasts. They lived in a beautiful home up in the Hollywood Hills overlooking the city and the twinkling lights. But no matter what film my dad made, Monster and the Stripper, Girl from the Back Row, or some other ones, Jimmy and Mildred Mulcahy would find their way into it. Now what's funny about this one, they sent this footage to us. We didn't even shoot that one. That's why it doesn't intercut very well. But if you were to see Girl from the Back Row, they're also in it, harmonicating away. Okay, anyone else? Oh, yeah, no, this gentleman right here.
Did you go on after these films to make Christian films? And if so, what was the transition like from Monster the Stripper to Christian?
And the gentleman in the back. That's a very detailed and in-depth question, which I will give you a short answer to. We were almost killed in an airplane accident. Do you remember the airplane accident?
I sure do.
Tell them about it.
Well, we were taken off at the airport and flying over when all of a sudden the motor went dead. And here we are up in the air with no motor and very little fuel. We had lost the fuel. So what do you do in a case like that? But my husband, thank goodness, he had presence of mind to swerve around and come back to where we started. Because if he had kept going on, we'd have all been killed. But he had presence of mind because he was a good aviator and he knew that airplane, that he turned around and came back and we landed that plane safely. That's why I'm here today.
And now, the rest of the story. We did indeed take off. Everything she said is true. My mother really never liked flying. My dad was a commercial pilot, and myself a commercial pilot. We loved it. She has blocked out certain elements as she sat in the back seat and says to me that as we were coming down, we did not make it back to the airport, but we crashed. The airplane was torn in half, literally. We barely missed colliding with cows, high-tension wires, barns, and a variety of other things. When we came to rest, just behind her head was very sharp metal, which missed her by inches. I got out of the airplane, dragged them out, ran to get help. It did not catch on fire. It was full, but we did not make it back to the runway. We landed wheels up on purpose because it was an undulating valley that we landed in. Actually, Mark, it's right on Royal Drive. If you stood outside the post office on Royal Drive, look towards the airport, there's a field, go back in time, that was us. But what was the question now? From there to religious films. Well, the quick answer is, when you look death in the face, you have to look at life differently. So you want to add anything to that?
No.
So there was a question in the back.
Is this film going to reemerge on home video?
The gentleman you need to talk to who distributes it is Andy Van Roon and Ken Goddard. And I believe if you have would you like 1,000 copies tonight? We can help you arrange it.
See us after the show. We'll get there.
Okay, Doc, you had a question?
Yes, ask your mom did he really behave with all those girls around there like this?
Doc says he really enjoyed working with you and blood tons of money. Yeah,
Thank you, Mom.
He says you were a real trooper.
Thanks, Frank.
I've been in vaudeville a long time. People don't even know what vaudeville is. You know, I worked with Sophie Tucker. She was great. All of these people, I was in the show with Ginger Rogers. Ginger Rogers was a lovely person, except her mother was a bitch.
I rest my case.
You travel here, you travel there, you meet people all over. And some people you will never forget. You remember them for all of your life. And there's many people like here tonight. I'm never going to forget this gentleman over here, this Andy, because he's the greatest exploitation man I've ever
And of course, our favorite guy, Ron Ormond.
The what?
Your husband.
Oh, say goodbye to him?
No. Go ahead.
What do you want? Okay.
Keep bragging on Andy. He liked it.
Yeah,
All right.
that exploitation part I like.
Talk about how you sold the films, how you distributed them.
The drive-in movie stuff is good.
Well, in making a motion picture, you gotta have a distributor. So in order to distribute the picture and play it all over the country, like right now, this picture is doing extremely well in England. Tonight we're showing it, but it'll still be showing in England. And Germany, they loved this picture in Germany. Oh, they just thought that this was terrific. They loved the monster. Oh, poor old monster. But I mean, making a motion picture is difficult. It's very difficult to make a motion picture because not only do you need the actors and the direction and all the locations and the costumes and everything, but once you get it finished and you put it into the editing room, now comes a problem. Now you gotta find out how to cut that picture to make it interesting. And the only way to make a picture interesting is by putting it together and cutting it right. And then distribution, the greatest man who I ever knew as a distributor was Kroger Babs. He was a really terrific man when it came to exploitation.
Okay,
And so,
have some water.
That's more of my...
Have some water. Any other questions? All right, you, sir?
Well, tell us about the dark side of Beaver Believer.
Okay. Well, of course, course, we have to wait till the lights go out for that. But that would be, well, okay, I'll get into it, if you really want to know it. Andy and my mother in a former life were very good friends. So Andy invented the dark side of beaver cleaver, and I haven't since then intended to live up to it. But if I was to go into the details of it right now, I believe it would take more time than allowing my mother to give you the details of her life. So we'll save that for maybe a personal cup of coffee down at Bongo Java. So, next question.
I have a question.
Yes, sir, Brian.
How did Sleepy LaBeef come into the picture? What was it like working with him?
Well, actually I could tell you, but do you remember much about Sleepy LaBeef?
No, I don't remember very much about him. In fact, I wonder what has happened to him. He did a hell of a good monster.
Yeah, I was, of course, a little too young at the time to interact with Sleepy on a personal level, so I really can't help you with that question. I do remember that the makeup artist had a thing for him. Yes, Andy?
Can you tell us how your dad did or mom and dad did the auditioning for the strippers in the movie?
I can't, but maybe you can. How did you actually meet Lynn Fontaine and Georgette and Patty? Tell them how you met them.
Talk about auditioning and all that.
Well, in playing around the country in vaudeville, you get to go many places. We were in Atlanta playing at a vaudeville theater there. I forget the name of the theater. And we went to a strip joint, and these three women were in there performing. And I said, well, boy, you're writing a story about strippers? Get them. Get every one of them because they're great. I said, you can't beat that jerk. I should I don't know how in the world she swings those boobs, but in other words, what would he do without the boobs? We all need those boobs.
No comment. Okay. Oh, okay. Way in the back.
How old was Mrs. Ormond when she first started in vaudeville?
How old was she? Would you tell them briefly about Coffee Cliffs and how you got that audition initially? What happened there at Coffee Cliffs?
Well, you see, in New York City, being in vaudeville, across from the Palace Theater, which is on Broadway and 47th Street, right down in the cellar in my mother's nightclub, she was really a forceful woman, and she liked to go. All the people from the Palace used to come down there, Sophie Tucker, Bob Hope, all the people. And that's how we happened to meet all the people in show business.
And how old were you then?
How old? Oh, about 13. 13 years old. And I remember it like it was yesterday. You know, show business is a wonderful life if you get to really appreciate it. I traveled all over the country in vaudeville with a partner, Joe Rollo. He was an exceptional party, and Joe had passed on now for many years. But he was a great partner. He took care of me, which is good, so I had to have somebody take care of me.
Hey, since you're telling them that, tell them how you met Ron.
How did I meet Ron? Well, we were in the show, Joe and I was in this, like right now I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden this guy walks out on the stage. Well, he was a good-looking man, you can see that. Here he was a lot older, but when he was younger, boy, he was so handsome. And out he walks on the stage, and I said, Joe, you see that guy up there? I never saw him before in my life till he walked out on that stage, but I'm going to marry him. He said, you're going to marry him? I said, you bet your life, because I'm never going to find another one like him. And I never did. I haven't to this day ever found anybody to equal what he was.
They got married 6 weeks later.
Oh, that's right.
I think the initial question was how young, so she was around 12. The other question was how old are you going to be?
How old am I gonna be?
Her birthday.
Well, you tell me that I'm 96.
No, you tell me that you're 96. I tell you you're going to be 90 on June 17th.
No, I'm 96. I know that 96 is a damn good age.
Well, somehow over the last 4 years, I seem to have lost displacement of time because that means I'm 6 years older too. So let's hope.
I'm gonna be 100. I'm gonna be 100 one of these days.
June 17th is her actual birthday. Brian Gordon was kind enough to allow us to do this tonight.
Show business has been a great experience. Making motion pictures is a great experience. Being here with you people tonight is a great experience. And especially getting to know Andy, my friend.
Okay, so any other questions?
I have one.
Yes. Oh,
Ask her if she remembers how hard it was to teach us to do those fans.
would you, Mother, you see that young lady right there with the pink shirt? Whether you remember it or not, she was one of your dancers with the balloons and the polka dots.
In the picture,
I had a bigger nose then.
which one?
Well, we'll go into what she wants to know is what was it like working with them? How hard was it to teach them to dance?
How was that one?
And the
Was it
fans.
difficult teaching them to dance?
And do the
Teaching
fans.
the girls? No, they were all from dancing school, and they had been skippers and they...
Hey, Diane, you opened the door. Actually, she has recounted it to me, and I won't make her go into the details. There was one of the girls who was a very good dancer. She was the lead. Her name was Kathy Binns. She was and still is a friend. I talked to her the other day via email. She wished she could be here tonight, but she couldn't. Everyone else had some rhythm and kind of revolved around her. My mother, of course, was a dancer, and I think she imparted her knowledge to Kathy. Kathy, in turn, probably imparted what she needed to you guys, and from there they built a cohesive unit. So, next question, or are we all going to have coffee now?
You know, Tim?
Yes,
It might
Bill.
be interesting to tell about where this was shot, other than the exterior. Where you-
Oh my goodness, okay, I'll tell that one because it's too difficult for her to get into it. Go back in time, not that long ago, 10 years, Andy helped me with this one. Anyway, what was the Methodist Church where, Jim Owens Productions, okay. Crook, no, that I don't know. Crook and Chase, go back in time 10 years, Crook and Chase was shot exactly where the monster pulled the arm off and beat the guy to death. But of course you have to go back in time to when Jim Owens Production was TRAFCO, which was a television, radio, and film commission of the Methodist Church. The building is still there. The involvement of time and space, of course, has happened, but I think that's your question, Bill. Now, as far as where the exteriors were going, oh my goodness, everywhere. New Orleans, the Okefenokee swamp, stock footage, Bill Gernert building sets inside, jumping to the next cut, being outside hundreds of miles away. Obviously, Hot Springs, Arkansas, I already told you that one. You know, my dad was an expert he was a great cook. He took the ingredients, blended them in, and made a movie. And that's my greatest thing he taught me was combining things and making something happen from them. So, you want to give him a closing remark?
Except that I love every one of you, and I'm so glad you could be here tonight to see Monster and a Stripper. It was originally called the Exotic One.
If you want to come up, shake her hand, hand her a card, tell her good night. We'll be here for a minute.